Part 115. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1141. Chapter 1141. The child is not protected. 1. You should understand why I came. Scene 11 sneered, and with a wave of his hand, the people in suits and black clothes came over and pulled little Mickey away from Chow Xiaofeng's arms. While Chow Xiaofeng was caught, the arms fell in front of her. And Xiaofeng, little Mickey's little body, resisted to no avail. He watched anxiously as Chow Xiaofeng was escorted in front of the bad woman. Passers around also noticed it and began to point at this group of people, especially a group of people who bullied a woman and a child, which received a lot of abuse from many people. Scene 11 looked at the people around him and said loudly, "You don't know that these two people are my husband's mistress and illegitimate son. I tried to convince them before that they were unwilling to leave my husband. I had no choice but to teach her a lesson." Scene 11 deliberately fabricated a false story in order to prevent others from talking about it. A lot of people were talking all around. Many people believed Scene 11's words and really thought that Chow Xiaofeng was the mistress. Many unpleasant words were immediately directed at Chow Xiaofeng. There were even some people who were willing to help, saying that they would come forward to help teach him a lesson, which made Chow Xiaofeng extremely angry. Scene 11, how can you be so shameless? Don't fall into the trap of right and wrong. Little Mickey is not my child, how can you talk nonsense? I am a mistress, and I have left Yayuan. What else do you want from me? Chow Xiaofeng yelled angrily. That this time Manman dragged the child to her to take care of her. If something happened to little Mickey, how would she explain to Manman? Do you think I really believe that you will leave my husband? Scene 11 sneered, she hated it. All the husband is thinking about is the woman in front of him. How could she let her live outside, and sooner or later there will be a risk of snatching her husband away. Let me go. Chow Xiaofeng struggled and looked worriedly at little Mickey, who was being carried like an object. Don't think that I don't know what's in your belly. Scene 11 sneered and looked at Chow Xiaofeng's belly with venomous eyes. Chow Xiaofeng's face darkened and her eyes fell on her belly. The child was only more than 2 months old and could not be seen at all, but Scene 11 found out. Does Yayuan also know? It's true. Scene 11 laughed contemptuously again. Do you think I will let you bear my husband's child? And then take my husband away? Chow Xiaofeng was trembling all over because of fear, but all she could think of was little Mickey. Scene 11, you can do whatever you want to me, but can you let this child go? This child's parents are not yours to mess with. You don't want to get into trouble, so let him go. You are in trouble yourself, and you are still worried about the children. Scene 11 laughed contemptuously again. No matter what, you don't want to touch him. As for my child, I don't want to hurt him at all, otherwise you and I will never share the same fate. Chow Xiaofeng was very strong-willed for the sake of her child and made a lot of threats. If Scene 11 didn't feel scared at all, and more people were watching around him. Scene 11 looked at the leading bodyguard and immediately turned around and left. A group of bodyguards immediately escorted Chow Xiaofeng, who was kneeling on the ground, outside. The man who grabbed little Mickey threw little Mickey to the ground and followed the troops. Leaving little Mickey alone, he was obviously concerned about the background behind little Mickey. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1142. Chapter 1142. The child is not protected. 2. A group of bodyguards immediately escorted Chow Xiaofeng, who was kneeling on the ground, outside. The man who grabbed little Mickey threw little Mickey to the ground and followed the troops. Leaving little Mickey alone, he was obviously concerned about the background behind little Mickey. The expression on the left little Mickey's face was not one of fright, but unusually calm. However, when he saw a group of good-hearted spectators coming around, he immediately showed a pitiful expression and cried to the crowd around him. "Brothers and sisters, please help me. The person who was taken away just now is my aunt. She was captured by bad guys. Can you help me call the police? And can you lend me your phone? I'll call my mommy. Please save her, save my aunt. That woman just now is a bad guy. I don't know what she will do to my aunt." Little Mickey cried and asked an older woman for help. Little Mickey's pitiful look immediately aroused the woman's sympathy. She immediately stood next to Little Mickey and touched his head. "Don't cry, Auntie will lend you your mobile phone." Little Mickey took the call from his aunt and immediately dialed Tianyuman's number. Tianyuman was in a meeting, her cell phone was set to silent, and she didn't hear the call at all. Little Mickey made several phone calls in a row, and he was so anxious that he actually started crying. Passers around also noticed something was wrong and thought that children would not be able to lie. Some people also called the police. Little Mickey couldn't get through the call, so he dialed another phone number that he had just memorized a few days ago. Tanyuj told him at that time. Although he only reported it once, he remembered it. After the call is connected. "Who is it?" Tanyuj, who has never answered calls from strangers, didn't know why when he received a caller ID today, Mickey's face flashed in his mind, and he answered the call for the first time. "Uncle Badass, it's not good, my aunt has been kidnapped, please help me." "Okay," Little Mickey said while crying, which made Tanyuj on the other end of the phone feel soft. "Little Mickey, don't cry. Wherever you are, I'll be there right away. Just stay where you are and don't leave. Do you understand?" Tanyuj repeatedly warned Little Mickey to pay attention to safety. "He will definitely arrive within 15 minutes. He came over, then left a group of high-level officials in a meeting and rushed over." Little Mickey immediately told Tanyuj the address. After hanging up the phone, Little Mickey noticed that the people around him were looking at him, which was particularly strange. "Have you ever seen a smart kid?" Little Mickey raised his chin proudly, which was unusual. Passers all around were trembling, thinking that they were dreaming. They just watched how Little Mickey asked someone to borrow a mobile phone, called his mother again but no one answered, and then made another call. The frequency of his keystrokes was a little too fast. This child is only 2 or 3 years old. Not only does he speak clearly, but he also thinks logically. He can even report his location. How can he not shock the people around him? They have never seen such a smart child, and they have never heard of it. Many passers-by did not leave and stayed with the children. Some were curious about the follow-up development, and some were afraid of the safety of such a small child. However, less than 5 minutes after the incident, a group of police officers arrived. The one who came first was not Tanyuj, but someone else. The selection of Little Mickey's name has begun. Who do you want to be Little Mickey's name? Bring it on. Choose. 1 Tang Mukian, Chien Mutang. 2 Tang Aokan, Chien Aokan. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1143. Chapter 1143. The child is not protected. 3. The one who came first was not Tanyuj, but someone else. This person was none other than Su Warong, one of the few people Tianyuman knew in the imperial capital. He was accompanied by not only the police but also generally well-trained soldiers. The powerful army rushed in and surrounded everyone. Su Warong, dressed in neat military uniform, walked up to Little Mickey. "How are you doing, Little Mickey, are you okay?" Little Mickey saw Su Warong. Although they had just met for the first time in the morning, for Little Mickey, he felt extremely safe at this moment. He immediately jumped into Su Warong's arms. "Uncle Ice Cube, help me save Aunt Xiaofeng, she was captured by the bad guys." Little Mickey helplessly grabbed Su Warong's shoulders and shouted hesitantly. No matter why, the person who appeared was not Tanyuj but Su Warong, and he arrived in such a timely manner. Su Warong comforted Little Mickey and waved for the army to set off. He picked up Little Mickey from the ground and followed the troops. Little Mickey has been talking about what just happened in Su Warong's arms. In fact, after Su Warong met Little Mickey for the first time in the morning, he deeply remembered this smart little guy. In addition to the recent lack of public security, he sent 2 of his men to protect Little Mickey secretly. But unexpectedly, he met a group of people from Scene 11. The other party had a large population, so Su Warong's men did not step forward. Instead, one person went to notify Su Warong, and the other went to chase Chao Xiaofeng. After Su Warong received the news, he happened to be nearby, so he rushed over within 5 minutes. "Don't be sad, Little Mickey, Aunt Xiaofeng will be fine." "Thank you, Uncle Bing Cube." Little Mickey thanked him deeply, with Chao Xiaofeng's comfort in his heart. By the time Tanyuj arrived, the people around him had dispersed, but the passers-by were deeply impressed by what had just happened. Facing another group of people rushing in, everyone became even more curious. Tanyuj inquired a little and found out that Little Mickey was taken away by Su Warong. It didn't matter for the time being. As for Little Mickey's aunt, she was kidnapped. Qian Yuman, who was at work, was also notified by Su Warong's people about Chao Xiaofeng's accident. Qian Yuman immediately asked for leave and rushed over. She didn't expect Ye Yuan's fiancé to come over. She immediately called Ye Yuan and scolded him. "Ye Yuan, do you want to be shameless? You didn't want Xiaofeng at the beginning, and now Xiaofeng has left you, and you still let your woman bully Xiaofeng. What, Xiaoxi is causing trouble for Xiaofeng?" After being scolded by Qian Yuman, Ye Yuan only heard about Chao Xiaofeng being in trouble. Qian Yuman didn't bother to communicate with him. The main point was to call Ye Yuan and scold him, and then rushed there. Joined Su Warong and the others. Chao Xiaofeng here was taken away by Scene 11 and tied roughly to the back seat of the car. Scene 11 was sitting in the passenger seat and looked at Chao Xiaofeng with a sarcastic look. "Scene 11, what do you want to do?" Chao Xiaofeng struggled. Even though he was already in the tiger's mouth, he still struggled hard. "What do you want to do?" "I want your life. Only if you completely disappear from this world can you completely disappear from Ye Yuan's heart." The expression on Scene 11's face became very terrifying, and the cold light in his eyes made Chao Xiaofeng realize that she was seriously. "How dare you? You know my good friend Qian Yuman. If you dare to hurt me, she will never let you go." End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1144. Chapter 1144. The child is not protected for. How dare you? You know my good friend Qian Yuman. If you dare to hurt me, she will never let you go, Chao Xiaofeng said fiercely, and glared back without showing any sign of weakness. At this moment, her face not only was he not timid about life and death, but he showed a strong momentum, which made Scene 11 hesitate a little. At this time, Chao Xiaofeng must not give in, otherwise she and the baby in her belly will die. She will never let Scene 11 succeed. She will definitely survive with her children, and then severely retaliate against Scene 11. Do you think I'm afraid of you? If I'm afraid of you, I won't come back today. I'll make the traces clean so that no one will suspect that I am the murderer, Scene 11 said self-righteously. Do you think Manman will let you go if you say no and there is no evidence? Little Mickey saw you take away mine, and just based on that, you are finished. Even if Little Mickey didn't see it, do you think you were asked to? Do you need a reason for the Scene family to go bankrupt? If she just asks a few people, your Scene family will go bankrupt, Chao Xiaofeng choked back. You must not show weakness, you must not show weakness, you must let Scene 11 know that she, Chow Xiaofeng, has a good bestie, and she has someone to support her. You. Scene 11 was successfully frightened by what Chow Xiaofeng said. Just as Chow Xiaofeng said, the group of people behind Qian Yuman were not easy to provoke at all. She didn't really want Chow Xiaofeng today. Feng's life was mainly for the child in her belly. Congratulations, you successfully scared me. Scene 11 smiled coldly. On the surface, he seemed not afraid at all. In his heart, he was still wary of Qian Yuman's existence, but he still looked at the bodyguard behind him with a different look. You think the purpose of my visit today is just to scare you? Do you think Qian Yuman can scare me? I don't have any support, how dare I do this? There are people behind me to help deal with you. So, even if you don't die today, you have to lose some skin. Scene 11 sneered, the car stopped, and under Scene 11's instructions, Chow Xiaofeng was pushed out. Chow Xiaofeng was still hoping that Scene 11 would be frightened by her words, and thought she would let her go. When she looked at her surroundings, her legs were so frightened that they became weak. This is actually on a bridge, and under the bridge is a bottomless river. Chow Xiaofeng, who is not good at water at all, was so frightened that his legs weakened when he saw it. She doesn't really want her to die. Scene 11, do you really want me to die? Why? Aren't I pregnant with Ye Yuan's child? The child is mine. I will never let the child recognize his father. The child will only be mine. Why are you still? You want me to die? I gave up Ye Yuan to you. Why? Chow Xiaofeng was puzzled. She couldn't figure out what reason Scene 11 had to insist on her death. Reason? Your existence is the reason. Even if you leave, Ye Yuan's heart will still be with you. You are pregnant with his child, and you are a time bomb. Who knows if you will use the child's reason to return to the world again? Return to Ye Yuan? The child must die. As for you, whether you can survive or not depends on your fate. Scene 11 waved his hand, and the bodyguards loosened the rope around Chow Xiaofeng and pushed him hard. On the edge of the bridge. Scene 11, you can't do this to me. Even if I die, I will turn into a ghost and seek your life. Scene 11. Chow Xiaofeng roared angrily and struggled hard. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1145. Chapter 1145. The child cannot be protected. 5. Scene 11, you can't do this to me. Even if I die, I will turn into a ghost and seek your life. Scene 11. Chow Xiaofeng roared angrily, struggling hard, feeling helpless in her heart, thinking in her mind it's actually Ye Yuan. Ye Yuan. Do you know how much I regret meeting you? My life after knowing you will be happy and happy. But it's more bad. I have been following you for 3 years without any name or identity, but what I got was death. Just to punish such a woman, you have to abandon me for her? You are simply blind. So regretful. Baby. I didn't have time to see you born, so I had to leave with you. I'm sorry, Mom can't protect you. Scene 11's eyes were cold as he watched Chow Xiaofeng being pushed to the edge of the bridge. The look in Chow Xiaofeng's eyes was like looking at a dead person, without any warmth. Push it down. Scene 11 waved his hand, and the bodyguard was about to push Chow Xiaofeng off the bridge. At this time, a soldier got out of a car. This man was the one who had been following Chow Xiaofeng and the others just now. The soldiers rushed over quickly, but Scene 11 brought many people, and they were immediately entangled. They tried their best to rush towards Chow Xiaofeng, but to no avail. A police car roared not far away, and Su Warong, who was in the car, shouted with a horn. Those in front quickly let go of the hostages, otherwise they will shoot you to death on the spot. Scene 11 turned around and saw a bunch of police cars approaching. Her face changed, and she urged anxiously. Push it down quickly. Yes, miss. The bodyguard's eyes turned cold, and he immediately stretched out his hand to push Chow Xiaofeng forward. Ah, Chow Xiaofeng screamed, and the soldiers sent by Su Warong rushed over anxiously, trying to stop them, but were stopped by Scene 11's people. Before Chow Xiaofeng fell, her eyes fell on Scene 11. She didn't know where she got the strength to push away the bodyguard beside her, although she was eventually pushed off the bridge. The moment she fell, she saw the bodyguard she hit Scene 11, and finally fell off the bridge. Okay. You're going to die, right? Then we can die together. Even if she dies, she will have someone to support her. Everything happened so suddenly that many people had not reacted. Chow Xiaofeng and Scene 11 fell from the bridge at the same time. Scene 11 also didn't expect that she was just standing on the edge of the bridge a little close, but suddenly there was a chaos, and she also fell down. Bang bang bang. Several gunshots rang out one after another, and Su Warong's troops and police rushed from a distance. The moment Chow Xiaofeng was about to fall, they gave the order to shoot. In an instant, all the bodyguards were shot dead on the spot, but they were still too late to save Chow Xiaofeng. They watched as Chow Xiaofeng and Scene 11 fell from the bridge together and fell into the river. Su Warong should be lucky that he did not bring little Mickey. Otherwise, seeing the scene of Chow Xiaofeng falling into the river would definitely leave horrific memories in his weak mind. All the bodyguards were either dead or unconscious, and were caught by a group of people. Su Warong ran to the side, looked down at the bottom of the river, and frowned. Go down and save people. Su Warong waved his hand, and a group of soldiers and policemen with good water properties jumped down to save people, and other rescue equipment also started to communicate. Su Warong clenched his fists with both hands, hit his chest hard, and murmured angrily. Damn it, I hope it's still here, otherwise how can I explain to Manur? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1146. Chapter 1146. The child cannot be protected. 6. Su Warong clenched his fists with both hands, hit his chest hard, and murmured angrily. Damn it, I hope it's still here, otherwise how can I explain to Manur? He was also lucky that Jian Yuman had not had time to rush over. If she saw her friend fall from the bridge, she might not be able to accept it for a while. Within 2 minutes, Jian Yuman also rushed over. When she saw a group of people standing on the bridge, she felt a thump in her heart, and some did not dare to approach the edge of the bridge. Senior, where is Xiaofeng? Where is my Xiaofeng? Jian Yuman walked over shakily, her eyes falling on the river where the current was a little anxious, and she saw several people floating on the water below the river, and diving under the water from time to time. Manur, let's wait under the bridge. Su Warong's voice was a little stiff, his tone was a little deep, and he didn't dare to face Jian Yuman's helpless and sad eyes. Xiaofeng! Xiaofeng! How could this happen? Jian Yuman's eyes quickly moistened with tears, and big tears fell from her eyes, and she stumbled towards the lower bridge. Manur. Su Warong walked over distressedly, supported Jian Yuman, and comforted her gently. Don't worry, Xiaofeng will be fine. My people are all going to rescue her. Senior, take me under the bridge quickly. I want to wait for Xiaofeng to be rescued. Jian Yuman was crying and pushing Su Warong. At this moment, she was walking with empty steps. Even taking a short step, she felt very difficult. She wanted to put on her wings and fly down right away, but she was too sad and didn't have the strength to walk. Okay, Su Warong responded. Seeing that she didn't have much strength to walk, he bent down without hesitation, picked up Princess Jian Yuman, and ran quickly towards the bridge, hoping to get to the bridge as soon as possible. Fortunately, the river is not very wide, and the search and rescue went smoothly. When Qianyuman and Su Warong walked under the bridge, they saw Chao Xiaofeng being rescued and undergoing emergency rescue on the shore. Chao Xiaofeng, who had just been fished out of the river, was pale, her eyes were closed, and her expression was very quiet and peaceful. Seeing her appearance, Qianyuman had just landed and immediately crawled to her side. She covered her mouth with her hands, her voice choked in her throat, and she shed tears of sadness and pain. Xiaofeng, don't let anything happen to you, don't let anything happen to you, Qianyuman murmured to herself, sitting on the ground and praying. Continuous chest compressions and artificial respiration, time passed by second, and it seemed that there was no way to save it, and a life was dissipated in front of my eyes. Fortunately, these soldiers are all professional, and their rescue preparations and rescue methods are all professional. At this time, another soldier walked ashore carrying a figure, and a group of medical personnel gathered around to rescue him. Qianyuman just glanced at it and knew that it was Scene 11, that bitch. She didn't know why she had the idea that she deserved it. Even if Scene 11 died in the end, she would not sympathize with her for a second. She deserved it. My Xiaofeng, nothing will happen to you. We have agreed that when we grow old, we will sit together and eat desserts. When we are gray-haired, we will chat about trivial things and recall the crazy things we did when we were young. You can't leave early, you can't, Qianyuman cried, tears constantly bursting out. Xiaofeng, Xiaofeng, please don't let anything happen to you. Nothing will happen to you. Qianyuman kept praying in her heart that God would not take Chao Xiaofeng away so early. Never take her away. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1147. Chapter 1147. The child cannot be protected. 7. Chao Xiaofeng, who was lying on the ground and being rescued, finally responded, perhaps because he heard Qianyuman's prayer. Cough, he spit out the water in his mouth, and then there were several coughs. I'm awake, a soldier shouted happily, and the surrounding soldiers who worked hard to climb the mountain shore cheered in unison. Xiaofeng Qianyuman happily rushed over and grabbed Chao Xiaofeng's hand, and her excited tears fell even harder. Chao Xiaofeng woke up leisurely, looked around distractedly, opened his mouth to speak, but his vision went dark and he fainted again. Xiaofeng, why did you faint again? How could this happen? Qianyuman was going crazy with anxiety, and her face turned pale. The people who had been rescuing Chao Xiaofeng briefly checked Chao Xiaofeng and breathed a sigh of relief. Sister, don't worry, Xiaofeng will be fine. Brother? How could it be you? Qianyuman was dumbfounded. She didn't expect that the person who appeared in front of him actually thought of Xianyuan. The person who rescued Chao Xiaofeng just now was actually Xianyuan, but Qianyuman, who was sad at the time, didn't even think about it. Pay attention to who rescued Chao Xiaofeng. This call from sister can focus Qianyuman's attention on Xianyuan. Xianyuan didn't explain much to his sister. He immediately picked up Chao Xiaofeng and ran towards the ambulance that had just arrived. In fact, Xianyuan just arrived on a plane today. He was nearby when he heard that Chao Xiaofeng was in danger, so he rushed over immediately. When they rushed over, they saw Chao Xiaofeng being pushed off the bridge. He was also the first one to rush over and jump into the river. Fortunately, he responded in time and was able to rescue Chao Xiaofeng as soon as possible. Chao Xiaofeng was transferred to the hospital with everyone. Although Chao Xiaofeng woke up, her life was not out of danger. She was pregnant, and after a series of frights, she had just fallen into the river, and it was the coldest month of winter, and the weather was extremely awkward. The pregnant Chao Xiaofeng was struggling to survive, and she was being rescued inside. Qianyuman sat anxiously at the door. Tangyuj also rushed over and knew what happened just now. He never expected that when he was with little Mickey, the person who had the accident was actually Chow Xiaofeng. Chow Xiaofeng was even more surprised. He actually got to know little Mickey. When Tang Yuge came, he would see Qian Yuman crying on Su Warong's shoulder, and beside him stood Xian Yuanxun with a sad look on his face. In an instant, Tang Yuge drank a jar of jealousy. If he knew that now was not the time to be jealous, he would definitely let Su Warong know that Qian Yuman was his woman. Tang Yuge walked over, put his hand on Su Warong's shoulder, and said in a good voice, "Please give way." Su Warong looked up at Tang Yuge, not wanting to make trouble with him, so he intuitively moved his position and returned Qian Yuman to Tang Yuge. Tang Yuge had a smile on his face, and Su Warong seemed to recognize him. Qian Yuman, who saw Tang Yuge, fell directly into his arms and burst into tears. "Mr. Tang, I failed to protect Xiaofeng well. She is now being rescued inside. It doesn't matter, Xiaofengji has his own destiny at first glance, he is a hard-working person, and he will not die so easily." Tang Yuge patted Qian Yuman's back to comfort her. The emergency door opened and a doctor came out. "I'm really sorry. We have already experienced it. The patient was not breathing when he was brought here." "What?" Qian Yuman's eyes almost popped out of her eyes, she couldn't believe what the doctor said. "You were obviously still breathing just now, you must be lying." End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1148. Chapter 1148. The child is not protected. 8. Qian Yuman's eyes almost popped out of her head and she couldn't believe what the doctor said. "You were obviously still breathing just now, you must be lying. I know you can't accept it for a while, but we have already experienced it." When the patient was delivered, he had already expired and there was no way to save him. The doctor is also used to seeing the scenes of life and death, and is deeply aware of these sudden losses. The mood and tone of relatives and friends are also much more solemn. "No. Impossible," Qian Yuman shook his head and almost fell to the ground. If Tang Yuge hadn't held him up in time, his would have been damaged. Qian Yuman's mind quickly flashed through every detail that happened with Chow Xiaofeng in the past, filled with countless joys and joys. Everything happened too fast, and she was not mentally prepared to face the permanent departure of her friend. Tang Yuge understood at this moment that no amount of comfort could be gained. The most important thing was silent companionship, touching her shoulder to give her a little encouragement. Chow Xiaofeng, who was covered with white cloth, was pushed out. Qian Yuman completely collapsed when she saw the white cloth. She rushed over and cried heartbreakingly, hugging Chow Xiaofeng's still warm body and crying loudly. "Xiaofeng, how could you be so cruel and pass away like this? You didn't even see your child being born before you picked him up, so why did you take him away with you? Didn't you say that we would go shopping together in sister outfits when we grow old? Didn't you say you were going to travel to the island this summer? You still had a lot of things you promised me, so why did you leave so cruelly? Died at a young age, it's all that bitch's fault." Qian Yuman hugged Chow Xiaofeng and cried sadly. The faces of the other companions were also ugly. Even Su Warong, who had a 1,000-year-old iceberg face, was cold to the bone at the moment. Xian Yuanxun walked to the opposite side of Qian Yuman, his face ashen. Looking down at the white cloth, the nurse beside him also had a deep expression. Qian Yuman's heart-wrenching cries made countless people feel heavy. "Xiaofeng, Xiaofeng!" Qian Yuman's hand trembled and stretched out to the white cloth. She wanted to take one last look at her and see her last side, hoping that she would be peaceful when she left. Qian Yuman's hand gently opened it. The tears hanging in her eyes had not yet fallen. She was filled with sad emotions and heartache. But when she saw the face under the white cloth, Qian Yuman's expression froze. All the expressions were frozen at the moment when the white cloth was lifted. "Who is this?" This was the first thing Qian Yuman said. Because of Qian Yuman's words, everyone focused their attention on the face under the white cloth, but the moment they saw it clearly, they were all speechless. This is not Chao Xiaofeng, she is simply another person, and this person is none other than Seeing 11, the culprit of all the tragedies today. How could it be her? After being stunned for more than 10 seconds, Qian Yuman recognized this person as Seeing 11. At the wedding last time, Qian Yuman and Seeing 11 met once, so they remembered it. Her appearance. Just now I thought it was Chao Xiaofeng, and I thought I was going to see her for the last time. I was so full of sadness and wanted to cry that I choked in my throat, and my expression became very strange. Doctor, what's going on? Qian Yuman avoided it in disgust. It was not the corpse of her best friend, so it was much more taboo for her. Thinking of holding her and crying just now, she felt a chill all over her body. It didn't mean that she had no sympathy. It really can't be done. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1149. Chapter 1149 The child cannot be protected 9. The doctor also looked confused. What happened? This is not my friend. Didn't two people come in together just now? Where is the other person? The doctor then realized that these people had mistakenly identified the person. The dead person was not what the group of people in front of them were looking for. Another patient is still being rescued, and the situation is not very optimistic. Qian Yuman rushed over, grabbed the doctor's clothes, and asked excitedly. Not very optimistic? What is it specifically? Will it be life-threatening? Qian Yuman is most worried about the danger of Chao Xiaofeng's life. The emotion of losing Chao Xiaofeng just now is still in her heart. At this moment, she knows that she admitted the wrong person. Although she is happy, she thinks that Chao Xiaofeng may not be out of danger yet. No matter how happy she is, if they are all eliminated, it is more of a worry for many friends. It's not life-threatening. It's just that it took a long time to fall into the water. In addition, it's the 12th month of winter, so it may be difficult to rescue the child in the belly. We are currently rescuing the child inside, the doctor answered patiently, without feeling overwhelmed by Qian Yi. Man held on and didn't ask if he felt uncomfortable. Is your life not in danger? After hearing the news, Xian Yuanxun on the side instantly put down his heart that was hanging in the air. When he saw Seeing 11's body just now and thought it was Chao Xiaofeng, he also felt uncomfortable in his heart. Although I had only known Chao Xiaofeng for a short time, I was still deeply impressed by this lovely woman. It was somewhat of a pity that she died at such an early age. That's great, Xiaofeng's life is not in danger, that's great, please go through the rescue for the child. Qian Yuman couldn't help but tell the doctor. The doctor told them not to have too much hope. The chances of the child surviving were minimal, and Qian Yuman and others were mentally prepared. To be honest, Qian Yuman felt a little melancholy in her heart, but she also felt that this was a good idea. With the child gone, Xiaofeng can start over. Yeah, family, she felt annoyed when she heard it now. Wouldn't Chao Xiaofeng break up with Ye Yuan if it wasn't because the Ye family had old ideas and sacrificed the marriage of their children and grandchildren? If it weren't for Ye Yuan's wife Seeing 11 knowing about the child in her belly, Xiaofeng wouldn't have suffered a disaster today and almost died. Although Seeing 11 died due to an accident, the Ye family would know about the child in her belly sooner or later. At that time, there will be chaos again. As a good friend, she still hopes that Chao Xiaofeng can start over. Having no children may be a blessing rather than a curse for her. Compared to the happy state of Qian Yuman, the faces of Seeing 11's ordinary bodyguards were ugly. They were all worried and didn't know what to do. Originally, I accompanied the eldest lady to teach others a lesson, but unexpectedly, the eldest lady lost her life in the end. And unfortunately, the death of the eldest lady this time was completely accidental and self-inflicted. It is impossible to blame Chao Xiaofeng. After all, Chao Xiaofeng was the one who was pushed to be killed. If he didn't pursue the punishment, ordinary people would burn incense and express gratitude. How could he have the capital to cause trouble? Seeing Eleven's family already knew what happened, and his newlywed husband also rushed over. The Ye family and the Sing family found it difficult to accept the bad news for a while. Chao Xiaofeng did not keep her child in the end. She was in a coma after giving birth, and Qian Yuman stayed with her until Chao Xiaofeng woke up. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1150. Chapter 1150, Destiny 1. Chao Xiaofeng did not keep her child in the end. She was in a coma after giving birth, and Qian Yuman stayed with her until Chao Xiaofeng woke up. By the time Chao Xiaofeng woke up, it was already noon the next day. Chao Xiaofeng woke up looking a little better than yesterday. What was just pushed out was that Chao Xiaofeng's breath was very weak, and his face was extremely ugly. After a night of cultivation, when he woke up the next day, his complexion was much better. This time, he saved his life. When he was rescued from the river, Chao Xiaofeng's breath was gone. She was so frightened that Qian Yuman almost fainted. Qian Yuman was taking care of her, but Tang Yu's persuasion was of no use. Manman Chao Xiaofeng shouted in a weak voice. Qian Yaman, who was arranging flowers, immediately turned around when she heard her friends shout. When she saw Qian Yaman opening her eyes and calling her, she jogged happily to around her. Are you okay? How do you feel now? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? If you don't feel well, I'll call the doctor. Chao Xiaofeng smiled weakly and answered the question. I'm alive. Speaking of this, Qian Yuman's eyes turned red and she almost shed tears. You don't know, you almost died, and I almost lost you. Qian Yuman lay down and hugged Chao Xiaofeng's body, her voice choked with sobs and she murmured sadly. Yes. I can still see you, Chao Xiaofeng called out to Su Xing, but she didn't say much and her voice was still weak. She felt like she had just walked around the underworld, but she didn't expect to open her eyes again. When she fell into the water, she really thought she would never have a chance to breathe air again, but she didn't expect to save her life. I'm so thirsty, Chao Xiaofeng smiled slightly, and her narrow escape made her smile brightly. Qian Yuman immediately poured a glass of water for Chao Xiaofeng. Under Qian Yuman's service, her breath finally became much more stable. My whole body still hurts, Chao Xiaofeng pouted and acted coquettishly towards Qian Yuman like a child. Qian Yuman rubbed her friend's head, feeling heartbroken. Chao Xiaofeng's eyes flickered as she remembered something. She put her hand on her belly and looked at Qian Yuman. I feel the worst pain in my lower abdomen. Is my child okay? Chao Xiaofeng had a bad premonition in her heart, but Chao Xiaofeng still hoped for an accident, so she smiled and asked with a trace of hope. When asked about the child, Qian Yuman's face froze. She didn't know how to explain that the child was gone. Qian Yuman's expression was already the best answer. Chao Xiaofeng did not ask any more questions. Her eyes were red, and tears quickly fell from her eyes as if they were free, dripping on the white sheets. This time, it's completely over. Chao Xiaofeng covered her mouth sadly and cried silently. Xiaofeng, don't be sad. You are still young now and will have children in the future. Now that you have a miscarriage, don't let your emotions fluctuate too much. Although it is a miscarriage, you must also pay attention to it. You must sit well during the confinement period. I'll make some nourishing medicinal food for you to eat in a few days. Qian Yuman kept comforting Chao Xiaofeng, but Chao Xiaofeng kept crying. Faced with her friend's warm words, she was still very touched. I know that this child is just not destined to me. Maybe he should not have existed from the beginning. Now he has just been taken back by God. End of this chapter.